Hey guys, good morning. Today we'll be talking about the latest character introduced to CZN for Season 3's second part, Adelheid or ADHD. So, if we look through Adelheid's entire kit, she's a void character as well as a defender, and she's currently paired with Amir and the goat himself, Cassius. So if you're interested in pulling for either the Cassius or Amir, this could be the perfect time. Cassius is still a pretty good unit to have or own. Along with Adelheid, she's also with her partner, Clara, whose entire kit is catered around Adelheid's entire workings and how she plays the game. So, once again, it's a partner that I wouldn't say you necessarily need her entirely. However, she's still a really good character to own if you plan to play Adelheid more seriously or more efficiently in that manner. Otherwise, you don't really necessarily need it. Okay. So first things first. Adelheid, over here. Once again, she's a vanguard, not a defender. So, as you all know with vanguard, it's primarily surrounding around defending or mitigating any damage coming from enemies towards your entire team. For the case of Adelheid, she's more catered in towards a generation of shields, as well as her new buff called Blessing. Now let's look through her skills. Let's start with her ego skill first. Her ego skill is a 6 cost ego skill. Grants 300% shield. Fixed heal equal to shield in possession. So, and cannot exceed 30% of max HP. So if you have 30% of your max HP, that's the amount of healing you can get. So if, for example, you have 30% shield of your max HP, that's the most you can get. Okay. Get around, this is her basic attack. It has one of the newer tags called Blessing. When shield is in possession, is lower than 30% of max health. If this card moves from hand to graveyard, fix 60% fixed shield. So how Adelheid works is that she basically utilizes how shields are used. So in the event that your shields aren't enough to defend your entire max HP bar, you have a means to create more shields through Blessing. And that's a pretty safe way of playing Adelheid. She's pretty safe so far whenever I try to play her. And so far it's been fun. But otherwise, let's look at her other skills. This is her basic shield, Fairy's Protection, 1 cost skill, 112 shield, and Blessing. Okay, her first card, 1 cost skill, Once Upon a Time. It has 2 exhaust. Apply Blessing to 2 random cards in draw pile, then draw 1 of those cards. So here we're allowing other combatants cards be able to use Blessing. So you don't necessarily have to use Adelheid herself, specifically her cards, in order to grant yourself fixed shield. In that way, not only is she grants a means to allow your other combatants to give yourself more shield, she also has a means of removing a card in her deck through the use of the exhaust tag. Of course, since it's exhaust 2, you have to play this card twice for it to be removed in your current battle that you have. And additionally, then draw 1 of those cards. So when you apply a certain amount of Blessing cards, you have a chance to draw that specific Blessing card. And if you have a set of Blessing cards, this becomes like a maybe a pseudo tutor. You're just specifically pulling for cards with the tag Blessing. Okay, looking through the basic upgrades here. Okay, first one, sorry. Exhaust 2 applies Blessing to 3 random cards. So originally from 2, it becomes 3. And draw 1 of those. So it's 1 out of 3. However, you're applying more blessings. I believe this is one of the better options when it comes to Adelheid's once upon a time upgrades. One cost isn't that bad, and it's 6 blessings, so it's still a good card, but I wouldn't say it's one of the best cards. So if we look through the other epiphanies we can go through, 0 cost once upon a time, initiation and exhaust 2, select and draw 1 from draw pile, then apply blessings to those cards. So this alone, you're selecting a card and then you're drawing that card specifically and granting it a blessing allows us to first be able to tutor and create the perfect starting deck, because this has initiation. Giving it tutor, giving it a means to create shields, it's really impressive of card. So this is probably your priority duplication. And unfortunate, I lost all of the footage that I used earlier, so we have to go back from the start. Alright. So just a quick rundown. Third Epiphany, exhaust 2, discard 1, apply blessing to 3 random cards of the combat, and that who owns the discard card. This could be a good combo piece with characters that are very reliant on discards. Probably units like Hyde Marie or anyone with Quietus and the like. Maybe bullet characters as well, like Renoa. Nothing too impressive with that, however. It also grants like 6 blessings, maybe. Okay, next one. X cost skill, draw equal to X, then apply blessing to those cards. This could be good, however, 1 draw per AP or 1 mana cost is kind of too much. I don't think it's enough to justifiable. I don't think it's just for a justifiable means or cost for this type of card. Number 5 becomes an upgrade card. When a card is created, apply blessings. So we can think of this as a means of like generating more blessings through characters that make bullets. So if we go like things like Hyde Marie, Diana, Renoa, and the like, I wouldn't say that's too impressive. If I were gonna tier it, always go for the second Epiphany. Possibly go for the first, otherwise everything else isn't that too important. So once again, number 2 is the best. Next one, Protect Us. So Protect Us is one of the cards that are typically used for the combo pieces or decks that you want to build around ADHD. So by base, it has a blessing tagline, 1 AP cost. For the next 2 blessings card activated, draw 1 blessing cards. And that alone seems pretty good enough. First one. So for the next 3 blessing cards, activate and draw 1 blessing card. This is pretty good. So 3 draw for each blessing cards, which is a good combo piece or setup for other cards. You're trying to draw cards from a specific set of cards with the tag blessing. So with that condition in mind, you can do certain combos quite well. But you have to make sure that those cards have blessing with them. Number 2. Next 2 times 0 cards in hand, draw 1 blessing card. This is you have to ensure that you have 0 cards. So if you have linked, make sure that you link the entire hand before this card becomes more useful. So with that condition in mind, it's quite hard to activate it quite frequently. Maybe let's hold it off, probably. I wouldn't say it's a priority. Number 3. Draw 3. Change cost of those cards to 0 to 2 for 1 turn. So this card benefits a lot with cards that have a lot of cost. Not sure how important it is or who combos well with it. One top of my head character is the cat girl. Time cat girl herself. Maybe Kairon with his 6 cost card. But otherwise it's not too important of an Epiphany. Number 4 becomes a 0 cost card. Draw 1. If that card is a blessing card, add 1 draw. So this is a good way as a draw 1 plus 1 card. So this is a really good option to consider. Number 5. Draw 2 blessing of this unit. Increase damage and shield gain for 60% for 1 turn. So if you're planning to play sub DPS side ADHD or main DPS ADHD in that manner in sortie, this could be your number 1 option. So if I were going to prioritize 1 and 4 would be your best options. You take multiple copies, like 2 to 3, depending on your dupes, and you'd be fine. Number 5 is specifically for DPS ADHD. But if you're still going to play DPS ADHD, you still take multiple copies of 1 and 4, and then get a single copy, probably of FFNE number 5. Okay. So this is one of my favorite cards if you're planning to play ADHD as a DPS. In fact, it's the only means of playing her DPS. So Friends from Fairy Tales is a 1 cost upgrade card which is unique. Select either a dog or a teddy. So doggy is what you see ADHD gameplay. So 72%, there's 4. This is what, 288? Could be wrong. Haste and Blessing. And for Mr. Teddy, 0 cost skill, 240 shield, and 2 damage reduction. Not too impressed with Teddy, to be honest. Okay, so first one, grade 1 doggy. So you're playing around doggy, plus 20% amount damage to doggies, and for every 1 blessing card in possession. So I don't think this includes exhausted cards or cards in the graveyard. So it has to be either discard or in your deck or in your hand. So at most you can get like 1,200 if you have those 15 cards, which is a huge damage amount. But to get to that point is kind of a chore. So if you're playing time content or content that requires turns, that could be an issue. Okay, next. Second one, creates 1 Teddy. When damage is taken, move Teddy to hand. So you play Teddy in the single turn. On the succeeding turn, once you let the enemy attack you in the same turn, like you completely use the entire action count, you get to play Teddy twice in a single rotation. I personally don't think Teddy's my priority, but could see some use, but I don't think it's that good. Number 3, create 4 doggy pack in draw pile. So this is what you use for DPS ADHD. So doggy pack makes it a blessing linked to quietus, 240% defense based damage, and increased damage amount by 50 for each doggy linked before activation. So the issue here is that you're adding 3 cards in your entire deck, but you're doing a lot of damage through the dogs. So if that's your type of gameplay, I wouldn't stress about it and just pick it. Okay, number 4. Create 1 Teddy, and when Teddy's used, 1 counterattack, and for 1 turn, retain counterattack. So if you're going to play this card, right, you're going to go with the idea that ADHD is going to be your counterattacker. So who benefits or what combination you could go for this? Maybe characters that have, you can go for Nadja, who increases defense-based damage, right? You could go probably any of the counterattack units, could be like Amir and the like. But you do have the intention of building around the defensive options through counterattacks. Just do take note about this. So if this would be a niche type of build, I guess. Number 5. So create 1 doggy morph. So this specific upgrade card makes you swap between doggy and teddy. So this gives you the added option. I don't see a use for it at the moment. Maybe in the future when more people play ADHD or more mechanics are discovered, it could be good. But if I were going to prioritize, it would be probably 1 and 3. Probably 4 and 5 have their own purpose as well. But I'd say for this specific card itself, if you're planning to play draw ADHD, you don't necessarily need this card in hand, and you could remove it. Okay, this one, truth behind the story. I think this is one of the underperforming cards in ADHD kit. 240% defense based damage plus 100% damage amount taken by the target for 1 turn, and it's because it has haste. You don't reduce. It does not reduce action count of the enemy. First one from 240% becomes 360 and adds 2 weaken. That alone isn't too impressive. Number 2, move 2 blessing cards from discard pile to hand. This could have some use case, but you're spending 1 AP cost for this kind of card. I don't think it's too worth it. Number 3, increase damage amount of shield and damage of doggy and teddy by 100%. So if you're planning to play like the doggy pack deck, this could be useful, but 100% damage gain isn't too impressive. So I wouldn't put this in the deck as well. Number 4, it's a 2 cost attack card with a quiet stag, 480% damage originally from 240, so it's 2 times more. Increase damage amount by 30% for each blessing card in hand. So let's assume that you have 9 blessings. That's 108% increased damage. Not too impressive. 300, number 5, 260% defense based damage, increase action count by 4, 1 cost card. So I'd say that this by itself, even its base form up to the epiphanies, this is one of the rare instances where I suggest just remove the card from your hand or in your decks that you're trying to build. Okay, number 5. This is the ultimate card of ADHD, Garden of Secrets, an upgrade card with unique 240% shield, which isn't impressive. But the most important thing here is that you retain 25% of the shield. This is one of the optional cards you can put in your deck. Otherwise, pretty good. Okay, for partners. So if we're going to strictly speak about efficiency, Clara is the best option here. Otherwise, go for Rachel. Let's jump through Rachel's kit first. The assigned combatant skill card shield gain is increased by 10%. I believe it's up to 20% once you max it. I'm not too keen. Let's see it here. 20%? Yep. And you grant 40% chance, and you have a 40% chance for that combatant to gain a counterattack. So if you're building ADHD with a counterattack in mind, this could be good. But the main thing that you go for Rachel is probably be her ego skill 2 cost here for the delivery burger delivery. And the most important thing here is it's just a 2 cost where you get one, draw one. Now, Clara is in no contest when it comes to ADHD, her best option. That being the reason why you go for ADHD probably is just for the case that it not only does it grant like 6% defense, her second and third passive allows are specifically catered for blessing. So for this case, when blessing effect applied by a assigned combatant is used, fixed heal percent 40% times 5 per turn. So you make ADHD like a sub healer, and it adds up 5 times. You get 40% fixed healing for 5 times per turn. It adds up eventually. And then for the latter part, when the assigned combatant blessing is used, gain 1%, which is a 20% attack card and shield gain of skill cards. Impressive. Another very impressive thing about Clara is her ego skill, Genius States Director. A 3 cost EB skill that grants 200% shield and select and draw 2 blessing cards from draw pile. So you're getting a specific tutor for 2 blessing cards at the cost of 3. Wow. I'd say if you're planning to play ADHD more efficiently, Clara's a must pull. Otherwise, Rachel is still good enough, but let's be frank, with this kind of specificity, Clara is your best option. Okay. Next. For save data. So there are 2 ways to approach. In fact, there are 3 ways for building around ADHD. One is playing through select and draw 1 from draw pile and apply blessing. So you're playing around. This makes her like a all-purpose draw ADHD. And with the new changes with save data editing, this makes it quite easy to build around. So 2 to 3 copies of Once Upon a Time is good enough. 2 to 3 copies of Protect Us, and you could remove Truth Behind the Story, and probably keep Garden of Secrets. So with that in mind, because of how ADHD plays, her best planet or chaos to farm in is probably in Burning Passions, which makes you get the Reforged and God Reforged equipment. But more importantly, this is where most of the shield related equipments drop. For example, this one, shield gain through a card, 100% fixed shield. And with the God enhancement and enhancements, you could possibly get these types of combinations. The other deck that you could go for is ADHD's Once Upon a Time, wherein you get to apply 3 blessings to random cards, and then you go with a combination of Protect Us over here. Protect Us, draw 1. If that card is a blessing, draw 1. So this becomes a 0 cost to draw, 0 cost card that could potentially bring you 2 cards. Impressive. So you go for 3 copies of those and then 2 copies of Once Upon a Time. Depends on how you want to play ADHD. Third one is building around Doggy, and more specifically the Epiphany, where you create a Doggy pack. So you choose cards like that, but in the end you still pick Once Upon a Time, where you select and apply, I believe. And you still pick Protect Us, where you apply 3 blessings. So it's not too different, I guess. But the main idea here is that she really benefits from playing around her blessing, and that's how you should probably play her. But in cases like Sortie, you don't necessarily have to. Okay, next. Potentials. So what you always want to do is unlock all of the big notes. This grants blessing to or basic cards. This increases shield amount, very important. Increases our defense stat, really important. And lastly, 1/4 chance of getting a Divine Epiphany. Of all the upgrades, I think this is still the most important part. But for the passives, this is your most important priority. She's a defense scaler, so always get this potential right there. Okay, memory fragments. Quite frankly, there's only one good option here. Starlight and Dreams. When shield is gained through an ability, increase damage amount of counterattacks and extra attacks by allies up to 25%. You're typically playing ADHD with characters that have that benefit from extra attacks, and 25% added damage is such a big number. As for the secondary set, defense through Tetra's Authority is still the best option. Otherwise, you can still go for Glory, I believe. When an exhausted card is used or created, increase damage amount up to 15%. Okay, Ego Manifestation. Quite frankly, ADHD's ego manifestations aren't too important. This is one of the rare cases wherein you don't need any of her dupes. Otherwise, Ego 4, I believe, gives you the opportunity to add blessings to any of the cards in hand, only at the start of the battle. So if you're planning to do 1 turn rotation, this could be good. And with this, you don't need to apply blessings through what's her card? Once Upon a Time. And lastly, the 6th Epiphany, even then, isn't too important. You get a 40% multiplier increase, I believe. Yeah. And you get an additional draw. So this is one of the rare cases where ADHD doesn't necessarily need any dupes. So that being said, do I think you should pull ADHD? If you find yourself having a hard time trying to defend yourself through content, maybe it isn't necessarily important that you go for her. Otherwise, she's such a good character in a way that makes playing and ensuring that your runs go quite safe. So that's it for the video, guys. Thanks for watching. Have a nice day. And unfortunately, a lot of the recordings I did got deleted. That's a mistake in my end. But otherwise, thanks for watching. Have a nice day.